My son Marcus handed me eviction papers on the same day I finished paying off the house I built with my bare hands 48 years ago in Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Ellen Porter, and my successful CEO son just made the most expensive assumption of his entire life. You see, Marcus thought his old carpenter mother was broke and struggling. He assumed I needed charity from him and his fancy corporate lifestyle, so he gave me 30 days to pack my tools and move to a nursing home because apparently I'm too poor and too senile to live in my own house anymore. The house I designed with my late husband James, the house I built board by board with these two hands, the house that's now worth $3.2 million in Charlotte's booming real estate market. Marcus makes $4,250,000 a year running his tech startup, but he assumed I survive on food stamps and Social Security scraps. He drives a Tesla that costs more per month than most people's mortgages, but he figured I can't afford to buy groceries or pay my utility bills. He called me a financial burden in front of his wife. Stephanie's parents at Sunday dinner last month, rich people from Myers Park, who nodded sympathetically at the poor old black carpenter woman who couldn't take care of herself anymore. But here's what Marcus doesn't know, what he never bothered to ask about, what his arrogance prevented him from seeing. Still waters run very, very deep. Instead of arguing with him, or trying to defend myself, or begging him to reconsider, I made 3 phone calls that would change everything. One call to my financial advisor, Charles Morrison, about my $2.6 million investment portfolio that's been quietly growing for decades. One call to my daughter, Jessica, about transferring the house deed into her name so it would stay in the family with someone who actually deserved it. And one call to my lawyer, Mr. Thompson, about the beachfront condo in Outer Banks that I bought last year with cash, no mortgage, no financing, just a simple wire transfer from my account. The look on Marcus's face when he found out the truth about his supposedly poor mother, absolutely priceless. Let me paint you a picture of how my son sees me, how he's chosen to see me for years now. October 20th, 2024. Marcus pulls up to my house in his Tesla Model S, that sleek black machine that costs him over $1,300 a month to lease. I'm out in the garage organizing my Craftsman toolbox, the same solid steel box I bought in 1975 when Jessica was born. That toolbox is worth more as a vintage collectible now than most people realize, but Marcus wouldn't know that because he's never asked about anything in my life. Marcus walks into my garage wearing what I recognize as an expensive, tailored suit, probably costs more than some people make in a month. Meanwhile, I'm in my work clothes. Carhartt jeans that have lasted me 10 years, a flannel shirt I bought at Walmart for maybe $20, steel-toed boots that are on their 4th resoling because I believe in maintaining things that work. He looks around my garage like he's stepped into some kind of junkyard or museum of poverty, his nose actually wrinkling with distaste. "Mom, we need to talk about all this junk cluttering up your garage," he says, without even greeting me first, without asking how I'm doing or if I need anything. Junk. He calls my tools junk. 50 years of carefully maintained professional carpentry tools that built this entire house from foundation to roof, that put food on his table and paid for his college education, that built half the custom homes in this neighborhood. And he dismisses them as junk. "These tools aren't junk, Marcus," I say quietly, running my hand over the smooth wooden handle of a hammer that's older than he is. "They're history. They're how I built the life you grew up in." He picks up my old leather work boots, the ones I've resold 4 times because they fit perfectly and break in just right. "Mom, seriously, look at these things. You can't keep living like this. Like you're still some kind of working carpenter when you should be retired and resting." Like what I ask him. Like a woman who knows the value of things that last. Like someone who doesn't throw away quality just because something newer and shinier exists. He sighs with that particular brand of impatience that successful children reserve for parents they think don't understand the modern world. Like someone stuck in the past who can't move forward. That evening, his wife Stephanie joins us for what I thought would be a nice family dinner. Stephanie is 31 years old, 12 years younger than Marcus, a marketing executive who carries a handbag that probably cost more than my entire month's grocery budget. She's not a bad person necessarily, just someone who's never known what it means to build something with your own hands, to work for every single thing you have. She sits at my kitchen island, the one I built from reclaimed oak back in 1989, running her perfectly manicured fingernails across the surface like she's inspecting it for flaws or contamination. "Ellen, have you thought about downsizing?" Stephanie asks, without even looking up from her phone, her thumbs flying across the screen as she types messages to someone more important than me. "This big house must be so expensive to maintain for someone on a fixed income. You know, at your age, you should be simplifying your life, not struggling to keep up with all this space and maintenance." Fixed income. The assumption in those two words tells me everything I need to know about how they see me. They think I'm living on Social Security checks, counting pennies, choosing between medications and groceries like some stereotype from a depressing news story. Marcus nods in agreement with his wife, leaning forward in that way he does when he thinks he's being caring and concerned. "Mom, Stephanie's right. The property taxes alone on this place must be eating you alive. What are they now, $3,200 a year? That's absolutely brutal on a carpenter's pension or whatever retirement you scrape together." I sip my coffee slowly from the same ceramic mug that Jessica made for me in her high school pottery class 25 years ago. The mug is chipped and worn, but it holds memories of every morning. James and I shared coffee together in this kitchen before he died. "I managed just fine," I tell them. "But that's exactly the point, Mom," Marcus says, and I can hear the frustration creeping into his voice. "You shouldn't have to just manage and scrape by at your age. You should be comfortable, secure, enjoying your retirement years." Stephanie sets down her phone finally and looks at me with what she probably thinks is compassion, but reads more like pity. "Ellen, modern senior living facilities can be really quite lovely these days. They have climate control, so you don't have to worry about heating bills in winter. They provide prepared meals so you don't have to cook or grocery shop. They organize social activities so you're not isolated and lonely all the time. You could make friends with other people your age who understand what you're going through. Social activities. Like I'm some lonely widow who needs organized crafts time and bingo nights to give my life meaning. Like the 45 years I spent married to James, raising 2 children, building a business, creating this home with my own hands, somehow left me empty and desperate for strangers to fill my days." Marcus leans forward even more, his elbows on my kitchen table, the table James and I refinished together in 1985 after the kids spilled paint on it during an art project. "Mom, we've been thinking a lot about this, and we really believe this house is just too much for you now. 4 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, that big yard that needs constant maintenance. When's the last time you actually used all those guest rooms upstairs?" "Jessica stays in one with Maya and little James when they visit," I say. "They come once a month, sometimes twice. We have Sunday dinners together. Maya is learning woodworking from me in the garage. She built a jewelry box last month that would make her grandfather James so proud." Stephanie makes a dismissive sound. "That's really expensive storage space just for occasional guests, Ellen. You're maintaining thousands of square feet of house for visits that happen a few times a month. That's not practical or financially sensible at your stage of life. You need to think about your future and your security." I look around my dining room slowly, taking in every detail that they can't see or won't see. Every piece of trim on these walls I installed it myself. Every cabinet in this kitchen I built them by hand. Every built-in bookshelf, every window frame, every door, I crafted them with care and precision. The crown molding in this room alone took me 3 full weekends to get perfect because I wouldn't settle for anything less. The hardwood floors underneath our feet, James and I laid them board by board in the summer of 1979, while Marcus and Jessica played in the backyard. Every single nail in this house has a story, a memory, a piece of our lives embedded in it. "Your father and I raised 2 children in this house," I say quietly, my voice steady despite the anger building in my chest. "We celebrated birthdays here, holidays here. We nursed you through chickenpox and helped you with homework at this table." James died in the bedroom upstairs 3 years ago, and I held his hand as he took his last breath. "This house isn't just a building to me, Marcus. It's 48 years of my life." Marcus's voice softens slightly, but the message underneath remains exactly the same. "I know, Mom. I understand this house has sentimental value. That's exactly why we want to help you transition to something more appropriate for your current situation. We're not trying to hurt you. We're trying to help you face reality." Appropriate. That word again. Translation: somewhere that won't embarrass him when he brings his tech industry clients around, somewhere that fits the narrative of the successful son who takes care of his aging mother, somewhere that removes me as a visible reminder that he came from working class roots. Stephanie is scrolling through her phone again, pulling up websites. I've been researching senior communities in the Charlotte area, and there are some really nice options. Oakwood Manor has beautiful amenities, a fitness center, a library, organized trips to museums and theaters. It's only $7,500 a month, and Marcus and I have discussed it. We're prepared to help you with those costs because we know your limited income can't cover it. $7,500 a month. They're talking about spending $9,000 a year to warehouse me in a facility I don't need, while sitting in a house worth $3.2 million that I own free and clear. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so insulting. They exchange a look across my kitchen table, a look I've seen before, a look that tells me they've already made this decision without me. They're not here to ask my permission or consult my wishes. They're here to present their plan and expect me to be grateful for their intervention. "We love you, Mom," Stephanie says, finally making eye contact with me. "But you can't keep living in the past forever. You have to think about practical matters like safety and healthcare, and what happens if you fall or get sick. You're all alone in this big house with no one to help you. The past, 48 years of marriage, of raising children, of building something meaningful with my own hands, that's just the past to them, something to be discarded and moved on from." I stand up slowly and start clearing the dinner dishes, the same sturdy plates James and I picked out at Belk back in 1978. Nothing fancy, nothing that would impress Marcus's crowd, but they've served thousands of family meals and they're still perfectly good. "I'll think about it," I tell them, carrying plates to the sink. Marcus smiles like he's just closed a successful business deal, like he's convinced a client to sign on the dotted line. "That's all we're asking, Mom. Just think about it seriously. Consider what's best for your future." But as I watch his Tesla pull out of the driveway that I poured and finished myself in 1982, I am thinking, just not about what they expect me to think about. I'm thinking about respect and assumptions and how my son has somehow forgotten where he came from. I'm thinking about the growth chart on the kitchen door frame that shows Marcus at age 5, then 8, then 12, black pen marks climbing year by year. He used to stand against that doorframe so proudly in his Little League uniform, grinning up at me like I was the strongest person in the world. Now he wants to put me away like a broken tool that's outlived its usefulness. The next morning I'm in my workshop doing what I've done for nearly 50 years, working with wood, creating something with my hands, finding peace in the rhythm of sawing and sanding. I'm building a small bookshelf for Maya, my 9-year-old granddaughter, who's developed a love of reading and asked if I could make her something special. The wood is cherry, beautiful grain, and I'm taking my time with the joinery because Maya will have this bookshelf for the rest of her life. Quality work lasts. That's what James always said, and he was right about most things. My phone rings. It's Jessica, my daughter, calling from her house across town. "Mom," she says, and I can hear the worry in her voice immediately. "Mom, I just got off the phone with Marcus. He told me about his plan to move you into Oakwood Manor. Please tell me you're not actually considering this." I set down my sanding block and walk to the window that overlooks the backyard. James and I landscaped together in 1983. The oak tree we planted when Marcus graduated high school is massive now, its branches spreading wide enough to shade half the yard. We planted it specifically thinking that someday maybe grandchildren would climb it or build a treehouse in it. Marcus seems to think it's for the best, I say carefully, not wanting to worry Jessica but also needing to gauge her reaction. "For the best, Mom, you built that house. You and Dad created every inch of it. You're healthy, active, completely independent. Why would you let Marcus push you into some facility just because he's embarrassed by where he came from?" That hits closer to truth than I want to admit. "Is that what you think this is about?" Jessica is quiet for a moment. "Mom, Marcus hasn't invited you to any of his company events in 5 years. He makes excuses about why you can't meet his business partners. Stephanie told me once that Marcus refers to his childhood as humble beginnings when he's talking to investors, like we were poor or something. But we weren't poor, Mom. We were working class. There's a difference. Dad had a good job, you had your carpentry business, we owned our home. We just weren't rich. And now Marcus is rich," I say quietly. "And maybe that means he needs me to fit a certain narrative. Maybe a mother in a nice senior facility looks better to his crowd than a mother who still wears work boots and builds furniture in her garage. Mom Jessica's voice becomes fierce, protective. Don't you dare let him make you feel less than. You taught me and Marcus that honest work has dignity. You showed us that building things with your own hands is valuable. If he's forgotten that lesson, that's his failure, not yours. We talk for another 20 minutes. Jessica tells me about Maya's latest school project about little James learning to ride a bike, about the leak in her bathroom that she's been trying to fix herself using techniques I taught her. Before we hang up, she says something that stays with me. Mom, whatever you decide, I'm on your side. But please don't give up that house just because Marcus has forgotten its value. That afternoon, Marcus calls me. Mom, I wanted to follow up on our conversation last night. Stephanie and I toured Oakwood Manor this morning, and it's even nicer than the website showed. They have a unit available starting November 1st. That's just 2 weeks away. We'd like to reserve it for you. 2 weeks. He wants me out in 2 weeks. Marcus, I built this house with my own hands. Your father and I designed every room. You really think I'm just going to pack up 48 years of my life in 2 weeks? Mom, I know change is hard, especially at your age. But the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Stephanie and I can help you sort through everything, decide what to keep and what to let go. Most of your furniture won't fit in the manor anyway. They provide furnished units. Something in his tone, the casual assumption, the complete dismissal of my feelings, pushes me to ask a question I've been avoiding. Marcus, have you already signed papers? Have you already committed to this without asking me? There's a long pause. We put down a deposit to hold the unit. It's refundable if you decide against it, but Mom, the waitlist for good facilities is long. We had to act quickly. You put down a deposit. On a nursing home for me, without asking me first. It's not a nursing home, Mom. It's an independent living community. And we did it because we care about you, because we're worried about you living alone at your age. I take a deep breath, trying to control the anger rising in my chest. What else have you done, Marcus? What else have you arranged for my life without consulting me? Another pause, longer this time. Mom, don't be dramatic. We're just trying to help. Answer the question. What else? Marcus sighs, that impatient sound that tells me he thinks I'm being difficult. Stephanie and I consulted with an elder law attorney, just to understand our options. If you become unable to make decisions for yourself, if your health declines, or if there are signs of cognitive issues, we wanted to know the process for establishing guardianship if it becomes necessary. Guardianship. The word hits me like a physical blow. You talked to a lawyer about having me declared incompetent, Marcus. I'm 65 years old, not 95. I run a woodworking business. I manage my own finances. I take care of this entire property by myself. What possible basis would you have for declaring me incompetent? It's just precautionary, Mom, just planning ahead. But here's the thing. Given your resistance to common sense suggestions like moving to a safer living situation, given your insistence on holding on to this house that's clearly too much for you, an argument could be made that you're not making rational decisions about your own welfare anymore. My hand tightens on the phone. Are you threatening me, Marcus? Are you actually threatening to have your own mother declared incompetent because she won't do what you want? I'm not threatening anyone, Mom. I'm being realistic about the situation. You're alone, you're aging, and you're making choices that concern your family. We have a responsibility to protect you, even if that means protecting you from yourself. After I hang up, I sit in my workshop for a long time, just staring at the cherry wood bookshelf taking shape on my workbench. Maya will love it. She'll fill it with her books and treasures, and it will last her whole life, because I built it to last, because I used quality materials and proper joinery and took my time to do it right. That's when I make my decision. If Marcus wants to treat me like I'm incompetent, if he wants to assume I'm poor and helpless, if he wants to take control of my life without my permission, then it's time to show him exactly how wrong his assumptions are. I pick up my phone and make the first of 3 calls that will change everything. Charles Morrison, my financial advisor, answers on the second ring. Charles, it's Ellen Porter. I need to schedule a meeting to discuss my portfolio and my options for transferring assets. Of course, Ellen. When would you like to come in? Tomorrow morning if possible. And Charles, I'm going to need documentation of my complete financial picture. Everything. Account statements, property valuations, investment summaries, all of it. I need proof of exactly what I'm worth. Charles is quiet for a moment, and I can hear the concern in his voice when he speaks. Ellen, is everything all right? Just need to make sure my affairs are properly documented, I tell him. Can you have everything ready by tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Absolutely. I'll have a complete portfolio review prepared for you. After hanging up with Charles, I make my second call. Jessica answers immediately, and I can hear Maya chattering in the background. Mom, what's up? Are you okay? I need you to come over this evening after the kids are in bed. There's something important we need to discuss about the house. The house, Mom, what's going on? You sound upset. Marcus called me today. He's already put down a deposit on a nursing home unit for me. He's consulted with a lawyer about guardianship options. He wants me out of this house in 2 weeks. I hear Jessica's sharp intake of breath. What? That's insane. Mom, he can't do that. You're completely competent. You run a business. You're healthier than most people half your age. I know that, and you know that. But Marcus seems convinced I'm a burden who needs managing, so I'm going to show him exactly how wrong he is. What are you planning? Jessica asks, and I can hear the mixture of worry and curiosity in her voice. I'm going to transfer ownership of this house to you. Tonight. Mr. Thompson can draw up the paperwork, and we can sign it by the end of the week. Mom, are you sure? This house means everything to you. This house means everything to me because it represents 48 years of my life with your father, I say. Which is exactly why I want it to stay with someone who understands that, who values it, who will take care of it properly. Marcus sees it as an asset to liquidate or a burden to shed. You see it as a home. That's the difference. We talk for another few minutes and Jessica agrees to come over at 8 p.m. My third call is to Mr. Thompson, my lawyer for the past 25 years. He's handled everything from my business contracts to James's estate. Thompson Law Office, how may I help you? Is Mr. Thompson available? It's Ellen Porter. One moment, please. A few seconds later, Thompson's familiar voice comes on the line. Ellen, good to hear from you. What can I do for you today? I need to schedule an emergency consultation about estate planning and property transfer. Also, I need advice about protecting myself from a potential guardianship proceeding. Guardianship, Ellen, what's happened? My son is threatening to have me declared incompetent so he can control my assets and living situation. I need to ensure my affairs are properly structured to prevent that, and I need to do it quickly. Thompson is all business now. Can you come in tomorrow afternoon, say 2 p.m.? I have some appointments in the morning, but I can clear my afternoon for you. Perfect. I'll be there. And Thompson, I'll need documentation proving my mental competency, my financial independence, and my ability to make my own decisions. I want everything ironclad before my son makes any legal moves. Consider it done. We'll prepare a complete competency evaluation and legal protections. Ellen, I'm sorry you're dealing with this. No parent should have to defend themselves against their own child. That evening, Jessica arrives right at 8 p.m. We sit at the kitchen table, the same table where we've shared thousands of meals and conversations over the decades. I lay out everything Marcus has said and done, every assumption he's made, every plan he's put in motion without my consent. Jessica listens with growing anger, her hands clenched into fists on the table. This is elder abuse, Mom. You know that, right? He's trying to control you, isolate you, take away your independence. That's textbook financial and emotional abuse. I know. Which is why I'm taking action now before it goes any further. I slide a folder across the table to her. This has information about the house, the property value, the equity. Mr. Thompson is drawing up transfer paperwork. If you agree this house will be yours by the end of the week. Mom, this is too much. Jessica's eyes are wide. This house is worth over $3 million. I can't just take that from you. You're not taking it from me. I'm giving it to you because you're the child who understands its value. You're the one who brings my grandchildren here, who teaches them about their grandfather, who respects what this house represents. Marcus sees it as an inconvenient asset. You see it as a legacy. That's why it should be yours. What about Marcus? Won't he fight this? Let him try. The house is mine to do with as I please. It's paid off, titled solely in my name. I have every legal right to transfer it to whoever I choose. And if Marcus wants to challenge that, he'll have to prove I'm not competent to make my own decisions, which I am fully prepared to demonstrate. Jessica is quiet for a long moment, looking around the kitchen, and I can see tears forming in her eyes. "Dad built this kitchen island," she says softly. "I remember watching him cut the wood, watching you both sand it smooth. I was maybe 10 years old. He let me help apply the finish. I remember. James was so patient with you, showing you how to brush it on evenly, how to work with the grain. You were so proud of yourself when it was done." "I still am proud of that," Jessica says. "Every time I'm in this kitchen, I remember working on this island with Dad, learning from him, learning from you. That's why I want you to have it. Because you remember. Because it matters to you. Because you'll teach Maya and little James the same lessons your father and I taught you." The next morning I meet with Charles Morrison at his office in Uptown Charlotte. He has everything prepared, a complete portfolio review spread across his conference table. "Ellen, I have to say, I'm impressed as always," Charles begins. "Your investment strategy has been consistently smart. Let's review the numbers." He walks me through everything methodically. "My stock portfolio is currently valued at $1.9 million. My bonds and treasury investments add another $4,000,000. My retirement accounts total $3,000,000. My savings and checking accounts hold another $125,000 in liquid assets. That brings your total liquid assets to approximately $2.6 million, Charles says, not including the house or the Outer Banks property. The house in Charlotte is now valued at $3.2 million based on recent comparable sales in your neighborhood. The Outer Banks condo you purchased last year for cash is valued at $6,750,000 and has already appreciated nicely. Your total net worth, including all properties and investments, is approximately $6.5 million. I sit back in my chair looking at the numbers on paper. James and I started with nothing. A small plot of land we saved 3 years to buy. We built that house ourselves, working evenings and weekends. We lived frugally, invested carefully, never spent more than we earned. And over 48 years it grew into this." Charles leans forward. "Ellen, can I ask why you need all this documentation now? Is something wrong? My son thinks I'm broke. He thinks I'm living on Social Security and need his charity. He's planning to move me into a nursing home and possibly pursue guardianship to control my assets." Charles's expression hardens. "Your son is in for quite a surprise then, isn't he?" "Yes, he is. I need you to prepare an official financial statement, something that can be presented in court if necessary, showing my complete financial picture and my competency to manage my own affairs. Consider it done. I'll have everything notarized and certified by end of business today. And Ellen, for what it's worth, I've known you for 15 years. You're one of the sharpest clients I have. Your son is making a serious mistake." That afternoon I meet with Mr. Thompson at his law office. He's prepared a thick folder of documents and has a stern expression on his face. "Ellen, I've drafted the property transfer documents for the house. Jessica will own it outright once you both sign, and we record the deed. I've also prepared a comprehensive estate plan that makes your wishes crystal clear. But first, we need to address the competency issue." Thompson slides a document across his desk. "I've arranged for Dr. Patricia Reynolds, a geriatric psychiatrist, to conduct a full cognitive evaluation tomorrow morning. She's one of the most respected experts in North Carolina. Her evaluation will definitively establish your mental competency. Any attempt by your son to claim otherwise will be dead on arrival." "Good. What else?" "I've prepared a durable power of attorney naming Jessica as your agent, but only if you become actually incapacitated. I've included very specific language about what constitutes incapacity, requiring multiple physicians to agree. This prevents anyone from making a unilateral claim that you're incompetent. I've also drafted an advance healthcare directive and a living will. Everything is structured to protect your autonomy while ensuring your wishes are followed if you ever do become unable to make decisions." Thompson pauses, his expression softening. "Ellen, I hope you never need these protections, but if Marcus does try to pursue guardianship, we'll be ready. He'll have to overcome a mountain of evidence that you're fully competent, financially independent, and capable of managing your own affairs." "Thank you, Thompson. When can we sign everything?" "Friday afternoon." I'll have Jessica come in, we'll execute all the documents, and I'll personally deliver a complete package to Marcus showing exactly what he's dealing with. Let him know that any attempt to control your life will be met with legal resistance. 2 days later, everything is in place. Dr. Reynolds conducted a thorough evaluation that took 3 hours. She tested my memory, my reasoning, my decision-making capacity, my understanding of financial matters. Her written report, which Thompson now has, concludes that I am exceptionally competent for any age with cognitive function well above average, demonstrating clear understanding of complex financial and legal matters and showing no signs whatsoever of diminished capacity. Friday afternoon, Jessica and I sit in Thompson's office signing document after document. The house deed transfer, the power of attorney, the healthcare directives, the estate plan. With each signature, I feel more secure, more protected from Marcus's attempts to control me. When we finish, Thompson gathers everything into a leather portfolio. I'm going to deliver this to Marcus personally on Monday morning at his office. I want him to understand the full scope of what he's attempted and what he's now facing. That evening, I pack a small bag. I'm driving to my Outer Banks condo for the weekend, something I do once a month. The 3-hour drive gives me time to think, and the ocean has always brought me peace. As I drive east toward the coast, my phone rings. It's Marcus. "Mom, where are you? We had an appointment to tour Oakwood Manor today. You didn't show up." "I'm driving to the beach. My beach house. The one I own." There's silence on the other end. "Your beach house, Mom, what are you talking about?" "The beachfront condo I bought last year in Outer Banks. I'm spending the weekend there. I need some space to think." "Mom, you can't afford a beach house. You're barely getting by on your pension." "Marcus," I say calmly, "you've made a lot of assumptions about my financial situation. All of them wrong." "What are you talking about?" "You'll find out Monday morning when my lawyer delivers some documents to your office. Documents that will make very clear that I don't need your help, your charity, or your management. I'm fully capable of making my own decisions and living my own life." "Mom, don't be ridiculous. We're trying to help you." "No, Marcus, you're trying to control me. There's a difference. I'll talk to you after you've read the documents. Have a good weekend." I hang up before he can respond. The rest of the drive is peaceful. I arrive at my condo just as the sun is setting over the Atlantic Ocean. The view from my balcony is spectacular, waves crashing against the shore, seabirds circling overhead, the endless horizon stretching into twilight. I bought this place for $6,750,000 cash after James died. It was the first major purchase I made for myself, something that was mine alone. James and I had always talked about retiring to the beach someday. We never made it together, but I made it for both of us. I spend Saturday morning walking along the beach, my bare feet in the cool sand, the October wind fresh and clean. I think about James, about the life we built together, about the lessons we taught our children. We taught them that honest work has dignity, that building something with your own hands is valuable, that family and legacy matter more than money or status. Marcus forgot those lessons somewhere along the way. Maybe when he got his first big promotion. Maybe when he married Stephanie and entered her wealthy social circle. Maybe it happened gradually, so slowly he didn't even notice himself changing. But the son who used to help me in the workshop, who took pride in learning to use tools properly, who understood the satisfaction of creating something that would last, that son is gone. Replaced by a man who sees his working-class mother as an embarrassment. Monday morning, Mr. Thompson calls me at 10:30 a.m. "Ellen, I just left Marcus's office. The delivery has been made." "How did he react?" Thompson chuckles, a dry sound that tells me Marcus did not take it well. Let's just say he was shocked. When he saw the financial statements showing your net worth, his face went completely white. When he read the competency evaluation from Dr. Reynolds, he started sweating. When he got to the property transfer showing the house now belongs to Jessica, I thought he might actually pass out. And his wife Stephanie was there. She was. She tried to argue that the documents must be fraudulent, that you couldn't possibly have that much money. I informed her that everything is properly documented, notarized, and recorded with the appropriate authorities. I also made clear that any attempt to challenge your competency or pursue guardianship would be met with vigorous legal opposition and would likely result in a countersuit for elder abuse and attempted financial exploitation. How did they respond to that? Marcus asked, if this could be kept quiet. He's worried about how it will look to his business partners and investors if word gets out that he tried to institutionalize his wealthy mother against her will. I told him that was entirely up to you. Thank you, Thompson. Send me your bill. It's been worth every penny. Ellen, one more thing. Marcus asked if there was any way to repair the relationship, if you would be willing to meet with him. What did you tell him? I told him that was your decision to make, not mine. But I suggested he should probably start with a genuine apology and a long period of proving he's learned from this experience. That afternoon my phone rings. It's Marcus. Mom, we need to talk. Yes, we do. Can I come to the house? No, you can't. The house isn't mine anymore. I transferred it to Jessica. You saw the paperwork. If you want to talk, you can drive to Outer Banks. I'm staying at my condo for a few more days. Mom, I can't just take off work to drive 3 hours. Then we don't have anything to talk about right now. Marcus, you were willing to uproot my entire life, force me into a nursing home, and potentially have me declared incompetent. But you can't take 3 hours to drive to the beach to have an honest conversation. The silence on the other end tells me he's finally understanding the magnitude of what he's done. I'll be there tomorrow, he says quietly. I'll text you when I'm close. The next morning, I'm sitting on my balcony watching the waves when my phone buzzes. Marcus, I'm 20 minutes away. I don't respond, just wait. When his Tesla pulls into the parking lot below, I watch him get out. He's alone, no Stephanie. He looks tired, older somehow than he did just a week ago. I buzz him up. When he enters my condo, he stops and looks around, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the ocean view, the custom furniture, the artwork on the walls. This is beautiful, Mom, he says softly. How long have you had this place? 1.5 years. Bought it after your father died. I needed something that was mine, something new that didn't have memories of loss in every corner. Marcus walks to the window and stares at the ocean. I didn't know. I know you didn't. You never asked. He turns to face me, and I can see genuine distress in his eyes. Mom, I'm so sorry. I made terrible assumptions. I thought I was helping, but I was really just being arrogant and condescending. Where did I go wrong? When did I become the kind of person who treats his own mother like a burden? I gesture to the couch and we both sit down. You want the truth, yes. You stopped seeing me as your mother and started seeing me as a problem to manage. Maybe it started when you got successful. Maybe it was Stephanie's influence. Maybe it was just that you got so focused on your corporate world that you forgot where you came from. Marcus puts his head in his hands. Stephanie and I are separating. She can't understand why I'm upset about this. She thinks I should be angry at you for hiding assets from me, like I'm entitled to know everything about your finances. I told her that's exactly the kind of thinking that got us into this mess in the first place. I'm sorry to hear about your marriage, I say, and I mean it. I never wanted this. I know, but this isn't your fault, Mom. This is mine. I made assumptions. I was embarrassed by my own background. I wanted you to fit into a neat category that made sense to my business world. And in doing that, I completely disrespected everything you and Dad built, everything you taught me. We sit in silence for a while, just listening to the waves crash against the shore. Finally, Marcus speaks again. Is there any way to fix this, any way to earn back your trust? That depends on you, I tell him. On whether you can learn to see me as I actually am, not as you assumed I was. On whether you can respect my choices, even when you don't agree with them. On whether you can value the life I built instead of being embarrassed by it. I want to try, Marcus says. I want to be the son you deserve. Then prove it. Not with words, but with actions over time. Show me you've learned something from this. Marcus nods, slowly wiping his eyes. I will, Mom. I promise I will. But I don't want promises right now. I want space. I want time to rebuild my own life without worrying about whether you're going to try to control it again. Can you give me that? Yes. Whatever you need. Marcus stands to leave, then turns back. Mom, one more thing. What happened with the house transfer, with all the legal documents it got back to some of my business contacts? There are questions being asked about why I was trying to institutionalize my mother. I may lose a major contract because of it. I look at my son and I feel no satisfaction in his consequences, but I feel no guilt either. Marcus, that's the cost of your assumptions. You made choices based on arrogance and embarrassment. Now you're facing the results of those choices. But Mom, this contract is worth millions. It could destroy my company if I lose it. Then maybe you'll learn that relationships and reputation matter more than you realized. Maybe you'll understand that how you treat people, especially your own family, has consequences beyond just personal feelings. It affects how others see you, whether they trust you, whether they want to do business with you. After Marcus leaves, I spend the rest of the week at the beach. I wake up early to watch the sunrise. I take long walks collecting shells. I read books I've been meaning to get to for months. I cook simple meals in my kitchen and eat them on the balcony while watching boats pass by on the horizon. It's peaceful in a way I haven't felt in years. On Friday, Jessica calls. Mom, Maya has been asking about you nonstop. She wants to know when she can come work in the workshop again. She has a new project idea. What does she want to build? A toolbox. She says she needs her own toolbox, like yours, with a special place for every tool. My heart swells with pride and love. Tell her I'll be home Sunday evening. We can start on her toolbox next Saturday. Perfect. And Mom, Marcus called me. He told me about your conversation at the beach. He sounded different. Humbled. Good. He should be humbled. Do you think you'll forgive him eventually? Eventually, maybe. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It doesn't mean going back to how things were. If Marcus and I rebuild a relationship, it will be a new one built on respect instead of assumptions. I return to Charlotte on Sunday evening. The house feels different now that it's Jessica's, but also right. This house should belong to someone who loves it, who understands its value, who will preserve it for the grandchildren. Monday morning, I get back to my regular routine. I have a custom cabinet job to finish for a client in Myers Park. It's good to work with my hands again, to measure and cut and sand and fit pieces together into something functional and beautiful. Around 11 a.m., my phone rings. It's Maria Santos from Habitat for Humanity. Miss Porter, we have a new build starting in 2 weeks in East Charlotte. The family we're building for specifically asked if you might be available to help. They heard about your work on the Johnson house last year. I'd be honored. What kind of help do they need? Foundation and framing work. The family, Carlos and Ana Rodriguez, are both teachers. They have 2 young kids and have been saving for years to qualify for a Habitat home. They remind me of James and myself 48 years ago. Tell them I'll be there. Thank you, Miss Porter. Your expertise is invaluable. These families are building more than houses. They're building futures. That's exactly what James and I did. We built a future board by board, nail by nail. And now, I can help other families do the same. Over the next several weeks, I settle into a new rhythm. I work on my cabinet jobs during the week. I volunteer with Habitat on Saturdays. I spend Sunday afternoons with Jessica, Maya, and little James, teaching them about woodworking and sharing stories about their grandfather. Marcus calls occasionally, always respectful, always brief. He updates me on his therapy sessions, his separation from Stephanie, his efforts to rebuild his business reputation. He doesn't ask for anything, doesn't pressure me to forgive him faster. He's learning patience, something he never had before. One Saturday morning, Maya and I are in the workshop building her toolbox. She's carefully measuring a piece of oak for the bottom panel, her tongue sticking out slightly in concentration, just like Jessica used to do at her age. Grandma Ellen, Maya says, looking up at me with serious eyes. Why did Uncle Marcus try to make you leave this house? I set down my saw and think carefully about how to answer. Sometimes people forget what's really important, sweetheart. Uncle Marcus got so focused on money and success that he forgot about family and respect and memories. He thought he knew what was best for me without asking what I wanted. That's not very nice, Maya says firmly. No, it's not. But people can learn and change if they're willing to do the hard work. Is Uncle Marcus doing the hard work? I think he's trying. Time will tell if he really means it. Maya nods, satisfied with this answer, and goes back to measuring her wood. Grandma Ellen, she says after a moment. Yes, sweetheart, I'm glad you didn't leave. I'm glad I still get to come here and build things with you. Me too, baby. Me too. 3 months after the confrontation, I'm at the Habitat for Humanity build site working alongside Carlos Rodriguez on the framing for his family's new home. It's a cold January morning, but the physical work keeps me warm. Carlos is a quick learner, asking good questions about load-bearing walls and proper spacing for studs. Miss Porter, Carlos says during our lunch break, Maria told us you built your own house back in the 70s. Is that true? It is. My husband James and I designed it together and built it ourselves over 2 years, working evenings and weekends while we both had full-time jobs. Carlos shakes his head in admiration. That's incredible. Anna and I have been saving for 8 years just for the down payment to qualify for this Habitat house. I can't imagine having the skill to build one from scratch. You're building this one, I tell him. Your hands are putting up these walls. Your labor is creating a home for your children. That's the same thing James and I did. The how doesn't matter as much as the why. The why is everything, Carlos says quietly. We want our kids to have stability, to have roots, to grow up in a place that's truly ours. Then you're already successful. Houses are made of wood and nails. Homes are made of intention and love. That afternoon, as I'm packing up my tools, my phone rings. It's Marcus. Mom, I know I'm not supposed to call more than once a week, but something happened today and I wanted to tell you about it. What is it? I lost the Meridian contract, the $8 million deal I told you about, the one I might lose because of what happened between us. Yes, I lost it. The CEO told me directly that he couldn't do business with someone who treats family the way I treated you. He said it showed a fundamental lack of character and judgment. I'm quiet, not sure what Marcus expects me to say. I'm sorry, Marcus. I know that hurts your business. Mom, I'm not calling for sympathy. I'm calling to tell you that he was right. Losing that contract, having to face the consequences of my actions publicly, it's been the wake-up call I needed. I thought I could compartmentalize, treat you one way in private, and be a respectable businessman in public. But character doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't. I've been in therapy twice a week since we talked at the beach. My therapist has helped me see patterns I've been blind to for years. How I've been chasing status and approval instead of living by the values you and Dad taught me. How I let Stephanie's opinions override my own judgment. How I became someone I don't even recognize. That's good that you're doing that work. It is. And Mom, I want you to know I'm not expecting forgiveness or for things to go back to normal. I know I destroyed your trust. I just wanted you to know that I'm changing, really changing, not just saying the right things. I appreciate you telling me that. There's a pause, then Marcus speaks again, his voice tentative. Mom, would it be okay if I came to one of your Habitat builds, not to talk or to spend time together necessarily? I just want to see you work, to watch you do what you're passionate about. I realize I haven't actually watched you work since I was a kid. I think about this request carefully. We're building on Saturdays for the next 6 weeks. You're welcome to come volunteer if you want to actually help, not just observe. Really, you'd let me do that if you're serious about it. Habitat needs volunteers. But Marcus, you'll be taking orders from Maria Santos, the site coordinator. You'll be doing whatever needs doing, which might be hauling lumber or cleaning up debris or holding boards while someone else nails. It's not glamorous work. I want to do it. I want to learn. Or relearn, I guess. The following Saturday, Marcus shows up at the build site at 7:00 a.m. sharp. He's wearing jeans and work boots I've never seen before, and an old flannel shirt that reminds me painfully of James. Maria assigns him to the cleanup crew, and I watch throughout the day as my son, who runs a tech company and makes 6 figures, quietly picks up scrap wood and hauls trash without complaint. At lunch, he sits with Carlos and Anna's family, listening to them talk about their dreams for the house, their gratitude for the opportunity. I see something shift in his face as he realizes what this home means to them. At the end of the day, Marcus approaches me as I'm loading my tools into my truck. Mom, thank you for letting me come today. You're welcome. It felt good to work with my hands again. I'd forgotten what that was like. Your father used to say that working with your hands keeps you honest. You can't fake quality craftsmanship. The work either stands up or it doesn't. Dad was right about a lot of things. Yes, he was. Marcus hesitates, then asks, can I come back next Saturday? If Maria needs the help, yes. Thank you, Mom. Over the next several weeks, Marcus shows up every Saturday. He works hard, asks questions, helps wherever needed. I notice Carlos taking him under his wing, teaching him things, and Marcus listening with genuine humility. One Saturday in late February, we're working side by side, installing subflooring. It's the first time we've worked together in probably 25 years. Marcus, do you remember the bookshelf we built together when you were 12, I ask? For my bedroom, with the adjustable shelves, that's the one. I remember. You let me do most of the measuring and cutting. You supervised, but you made me do the actual work. I was so proud of that bookshelf. Do you still have it? Marcus is quiet for a long moment. No. Stephanie convinced me to get rid of it when we redecorated last year. She said it looked too rustic, too homemade. She bought some sleek, modern shelving system to replace it. I didn't fight her on it. That bookshelf was quality oak. It would have lasted another 50 years. I regret a lot of things. We work in silence for a while, the sound of hammers and saws creating a rhythm around us. Finally, Marcus speaks again. Mom, I filed for divorce last week. The papers are being served next week. I'm sorry your marriage didn't work out. I'm not. Stephanie and I wanted different things. She wanted status and appearances. I thought I wanted that too, but I was wrong. What do you want now? I want to rebuild my relationship with you and Jessica and the kids. I want to do work that matters. I want to live by the values Dad taught me instead of just talking about them. Those are good goals, Marcus. But they take time and consistency to achieve. I know. I'm prepared for that. That evening, Jessica calls me. Mom, Marcus asked if he could come to Sunday dinner tomorrow. He said he'd understand if you're not ready, but he wanted to ask. What do you think I should do? I think you should follow your instincts. He's been showing up at Habitat every Saturday for 6 weeks. He's doing the work, not just talking about it. Maybe it's time to let him start participating in family events again, but on your terms with clear boundaries. You're right. I'll invite him. But Mom, if he hurts you again, I won't forgive him a second time. Neither will I, sweetheart. Sunday dinner at Jessica's house is the first time in 4 months that our family has gathered together. Marcus arrives early, bringing flowers for Jessica and a wooden puzzle he found at a craft fair for the kids. It's a small gesture but thoughtful in a way the old Marcus wouldn't have bothered with. Maya runs up to him immediately. Uncle Marcus, Grandma Ellen is teaching me woodworking. I built my own toolbox. Really, can I see it? Maya drags him to the garage, where her small toolbox sits proudly on Jessica's workbench. It's cherry wood, carefully jointed with her name burned into the lid. Marcus runs his hand over it, and I see tears in his eyes. This is beautiful, Maya. Your grandmother taught you well. She's the best teacher ever, Maya says firmly. She's teaching me that quality work lasts forever and that you have to respect your tools and materials. Marcus looks at me over Maya's head, and I see recognition there. Those were the exact words I used to tell him when he was young. During dinner, Marcus is quiet, listening more than talking. He asks little James about school, asks Jessica about her work, compliments the food. He doesn't try to dominate the conversation or talk about his business. He's present in a way he hasn't been in years. After dinner, Maya pulls out the plans she's been drawing for a treehouse. Grandma Ellen, she says, spreading the papers on the table, I've been thinking about the design. Can we build it in the big oak tree in the backyard? That tree has been waiting for a treehouse since before your mother was born, I tell her. Your grandfather and I planted it specifically for that purpose. It's finally time. Can I help? Marcus asks quietly. If you want, I say. We'll need extra hands for the heavy lifting and the platform construction. I'd really like that, Mom. Thank you. Over the next several weeks, Marcus shows up every Saturday for both the habitat build and Sunday afternoons for the treehouse project. He works alongside me and Maya, taking direction, learning patience, remembering skills he'd forgotten. One Sunday in March, we're installing the treehouse platform. Marcus is holding boards steady while I secure them, and Maya is handing us nails with serious concentration. This is hard work, Maya observes. Good work usually is, I tell her. That's why it's satisfying when it's done. You know you accomplished something real. Grandma Ellen, when you built your house with Grandpa James, was it hard? Very hard. We worked on it for 2 years. Some days we were so tired we could barely move. But we kept going because we knew what we were building mattered, Uncle Marcus, Maya says, looking at her uncle. Why did you try to make Grandma Ellen leave the house she built? Marcus sets down his hammer and thinks carefully before answering. Because I forgot what was important, Maya. I got so focused on money and what other people thought that I stopped seeing what really mattered. I hurt Grandma Ellen badly, and I'm still trying to make up for it. Are you sorry? Yes, very sorry. And I'm trying to be better. Maya nods, satisfied with this answer. Good. Because Grandma Ellen is the best, and nobody should be mean to her. You're absolutely right, Marcus says, his voice thick with emotion. That evening, after the kids are in bed, Marcus asks if we can talk privately. We sit on Jessica's back porch looking at the partially completed treehouse silhouetted against the twilight sky. Mom, I've been thinking about something. I want to establish a scholarship fund for kids from working-class families who want to learn trades. Carpentry, plumbing, electrical work, welding, real skills that build things. I'd like to fund it with $2,500,000 initially. That's a wonderful idea, Marcus. But why? Because Dad was a skilled tradesman, and you're a master carpenter, and those skills built everything good in our lives. Because I spent years being ashamed of where I came from, instead of being proud of it. Because I want to honor what you and Dad taught me, even though it took me too long to remember those lessons. I'm proud of you for thinking of this. Actually, I was planning something similar. I've already established a fund with $6,000,000 for trade school scholarships. Charles Morrison is administering it. Marcus looks at me with surprise and admiration. Of course you did. You're always 3 steps ahead, aren't you? I've had more years to learn, I say with a small smile, but there's no reason we can't both contribute. The more young people we can help learn skilled trades, the better. Mom, Marcus says quietly, I know I don't deserve forgiveness yet. I know I have years of proving myself ahead of me, but I want you to know that I see you now. Really see you. Not as a burden or a problem, but as an incredibly strong, accomplished woman who built an amazing life through hard work and integrity. I see the legacy you and Dad created, and I'm ashamed it took almost losing you for me to appreciate it. Thank you for saying that. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think Dad would be proud of me now? Or disappointed in who I became? I think about James, about the man who taught both our children that character matters more than status, that honest work has dignity, that family is everything. Your father would be heartbroken about what you did to me, I say honestly. But he would also be proud that you're doing the hard work to change. James believed people could grow and learn. He'd want to see you follow through on this growth, not just start it. I will, Mom. I promise. Actions, not words, I remind him. I know. I'm committed to showing you through actions. 6 months after Marcus handed me those eviction papers, I'm sitting on my balcony in Outer Banks watching another sunrise. My phone buzzes with a photo from Jessica. It's Maya and Marcus working together on the treehouse, both of them wearing work gloves, both smiling. The caption reads, 3 generations of porter builders. I save the photo and think about legacy, about what we pass down to the next generation. It's not just money or property, it's values and skills and understanding what really matters in life. That is Ellen Porter's story. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this from? What city? What country? Drop it in the comments below. I love seeing our global community come together over these powerful stories about mothers who refuse to be underestimated, about sons who learned that assumptions can cost everything, and about the moment when revealing the truth becomes absolutely necessary. Real question. If you were Ellen and your son handed you eviction papers, assuming you were broke, trying to force you into a nursing home for the house you built with your own hands, what would you have done? Would you have revealed your wealth immediately? Would you have handled it differently? Or would you have made the same 3 phone calls Ellen made? Tell me in the comments, because I genuinely want to know how you would respond to that level of disrespect from your own child. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you deeply. Share it if you know someone who's been underestimated because of their age, their profession, or their background. Someone whose adult children think they know better. Someone who's built something meaningful with their hands and their hard work. Someone who needs to hear that blue-collar work has just as much dignity and value as any corporate career, and that assumptions based on appearances can be devastatingly wrong. And subscribe for more raw, real stories about parents who taught their arrogant children. Expensive lessons about working-class heroes who built million-dollar legacies through discipline and patience, about families torn apart by shame and rebuilt through humility, and what happens when someone finally stands up and says, enough is enough. This story is about more than just one carpenter mother shocking her CEO son. It's about recognizing that wealth comes in many forms and isn't always visible. It's about understanding that blue-collar workers can be just as financially successful as white-collar professionals, they just don't advertise it. It's about knowing that underestimating someone based on their work, clothes, and old tools is a mistake that can cost you everything, including relationships, business deals, and your own integrity. Thanks for watching. Remember, never judge someone's financial situation based on their appearance or profession. A carpenter wearing Carhartt jeans and driving an old truck might have a larger net worth than the executive in the expensive suit driving the Tesla. Someone who lives frugally and maintains their tools for decades might have millions in investments, while someone who spends lavishly on status symbols might be drowning in debt. Success isn't always loud and flashy. Sometimes, the wealthiest people are the quietest ones. See you in the next video.